Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where you boys always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Playalog.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, we've got to talk about some upcoming moves that the Toronto Blue Jays could be making very soon, including what are they going to do with Davis Schneider, whose bat has been ice cold recently, and as well, Bichette. What's the injury update there? And could we be seeing Bichette for the rest of the season, or are they going to shut him down? We've got some opinions on that. Before we get into it, though, guys, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today. First of all, I want to say welcome in, everybody, because this is the part of the year where we're looking at what are the next step for the Blue Jays, looking at 2025, and a lot of the moves they make now are going to directly impact that season moving forward.
Yeah, that's all we're thinking about, really, you know, and when we're talking about Davis Schneider and we're talking about Bichette, it's less about winning ball games now and more about what is going to be best for them to help you win in 2025, because I think at this point, unless there is some big surprise trade, Bichette trade in the offseason, which we can't completely rule out, that is something that could happen, but probably he will be on the team. And if you have any hope of being competitive in 2025, like Ross Atkins and John Schneider, they just keep clinging to
pounding it.
You are going to need that guy to be really good, and hopefully Davis Schneider can kind of revert back to what he was last year. This year, it is a very different story for him, though. I mean, looking at some of the numbers for Davis Schneider, things have not been going well. He started off the year pretty decently. Yeah. And then, come May, come June, it's just been falling off the table. I got a couple key statistics right here that I just got to bring up. The fastball, he's got a negative 10 run value against the four-seam fastball. I know that you've brought it up time and time again, but that high heater, it is consistently getting him out, man.
Yeah, people have found out, opposing pitchers have found out the weakness of Davis Schneider, and it is the high heat. So looking at last year against the four-seam fastball, he was doing pretty decent against it with a 250 batting average, but then this is a clear telltale sign that they have figured out his weakness and they are continuously attacking it.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch any Blue Jays game, you know it's coming on 2 strikes. And for Davis Schneider, he's got to know that it's coming on 2 strikes. But the fact of the matter is, he isn't able to hit the fastball right now with his mechanics. Maybe it's a skill thing, but it could be also mechanical. There's a lot of swings right now in modern-day baseball that have a lot of downward swing. Davis Schneider could be one of those because he is a power guy. He likes to lift the ball. But if Davis Schneider is going to have success at the big league level, he needs to take some time, whether it be in the next couple months or this offseason, change the way he swings the baseball bat so he can get up on that upper plane. So when he knows that fastball's coming on 2 strikes, he's able to attack it and prove that now the pitchers have to start making the adjustment.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, man. I'm looking over at his percentiles right now, and it's really an interesting case study what he's been doing this year. I mean, like, just looking at this stuff, like, part of me is thinking that the bat speed is a big problem because even when he is barreling up the baseball, which he's doing quite consistently, he's not hitting the ball very hard. He doesn't have a great average exit velocity. His expected slugging is not good. And as we can obviously see, the bat speed is on the lower percentiles. Maybe that's something. Maybe he's got to, go to the gym this offseason and see how he can, speed that up and catch the fastball if they're going to keep throwing it at him. But,
it's funny. Totally not comparing. It's apples to oranges when you look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Davis Schneider. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a big thing that changed for him was simply getting his timing down for the fastball. And it was a simple, and I like to give a lot of credit to Joe Siddle, who came on our podcast preseason and talked about it. Just a simple like tipping of the barrel, which got him on time to hit the fastball. It could be as simple as that, where there could be something just missing, something a little bit of hitch or a delay in his swing that's not allowing him to catch up to those upper 90 heaters.
Well, with that being said, everybody, the debate right now in kind of Blue Jays community is should Davis Schneider stay up? Should he continue to get MLB reps to finish off this season? Or would it be better for his development, better for the team overall, for him to go down to AAA, really just focus on the mechanics? Results don't matter. This isn't going to your MLB slash line. What are your thoughts on sending Davis down, and would it be beneficial for him or not?
Well, I think it would be. I mean, we're already starting to see Davis Schneider's playing time diminish, right? There's an argument to be said, well, you give a guy enough playing time at the big league level and it should all round out. He should work itself out and he should be able to catch up and hit big league hitting or big league pitching. But it's just not happening right now for him. And right now he's sitting on the bench. He's splitting playing time. You brought in Lo Perfido to take over left field, which Davis Schneider, that's where he was finding a lot of his playing time this year. So for me, I think it's not a hit to Davis Schneider's, I hope it's not a hit to Davis Schneider's confidence, but he's got to go down there and take some time to have less competitive pitchers pitch to him and have time to work with somebody day in and day out and have a little bit less games, because in September, the minor league season will be over a lot sooner than the major league season. Take some time to get into the offseason early so that we want him to come back and be ready to play and face major league pitching in 2025.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers right now. In the second half of the year for Davis Schneider, granted, this is only in 12 games. The guy's batting 195. But you can look at, go by month. I mean, in July, it was 211. In June, it was 163. It's not going well for him. And I know that you were bringing up a point there being like, well, could this be a hit to his confidence? Maybe, but I would also argue that going out there and just getting dominated time and time again, that is even more so a hit to your confidence. I mean, the boys right here, we're on one hell of a golf kick right now. And, when you're going out there and you keep going to the course and it's just not going well, it's not going well. I mean, that's not really fucking helping you. You're getting in your mental at that point.
Right.
And honestly, at that point, it just feels like you want to go back to the driving range, because that's where you're going to be able to work it out. I kind of look at AAA and I look at being sent down as almost going back to the driving range, going back to the roots. This is where you can really just work things out. If it doesn't result in a hit, who cares? Doesn't matter. But you can take your time. So I would argue that, moving forward, probably the best thing to do, especially if he isn't going to be getting the playing time, is send him down to AAA, let him figure it out, and then have him come back up next year in 2025.
That's right, man. And hey, like I mentioned off the top, it's kind of like an audition preview for 2025 this year. And I think the Blue Jays, after this big trade deadline, have got a lot of interesting pieces now joining their farm system. So while Davis is going and trying to figure it out in the minor leagues, I think it'd be a great idea to call up somebody else to the big league level.
Sure.
We talked about it, right? There's Loper Fido, you got George Springer, you got Dalton Varsho. They're probably going to get regular playing time every single day in that outfield. So why don't you call up an infielder that might be an interesting piece to give you a little bit of playing time? We traded to the Houston Astros over Yusei Kikuchi, and we got back some very interesting pieces like Loper Fido, Jake Bloss. But one guy that is tearing it up right now is Will Wagner. He's a second baseman, third baseman, first baseman, right? No shortstop, but there is an opportunity for him to find some playing time if he's called up to the big league level. And look what he's been doing so far in AAA with an OPS of 892, that batting average of 320. And I know it's a short sample size, but 3 games, and he's got a 636 batting average with a really, really high slug. I think it's not a bad idea to get a new face, get a new look at the big league level. Like, sure, will this be competitive will he be competing for Davis Schneider's spot next year? For sure, but I think as a team, we want the best player available. I think Will Wagner deserves a shot at the end of this year.
Yeah, he is 25 years old, right? So, that's, MLB time, right? It's time to get your call up. It's time to see what you can do, especially coming up now where it is kind of just low pressure situations. The games don't matter. To him, obviously it will, but at the end of the day, if we lose 8-2, nobody's going to bat an eye. That's just what this is. So I can 100% see him coming up. I could also see a Joey Votto getting a couple reps too. He just hit a home run. He started his AAA rehab stint right now, and he hit a home run in his first game. So good stuff there. Don't roll your ankle. Don't get too fucking excited, Joey, because I would like to see you here at the end of the season. I said this in a recent video, man. It's like, is Joey Votto part of the future? Absolutely not. Is he part of 2025? Probably no. But you know what? With the way that the season has gone, might be nice just to see a future Hall of Famer smack a bomb or two in Blue Jays blue.
Yeah, hey, and when you get to September, you're gonna have another roster spot open up. So even if it's not now, it could be later. And those are 2 guys that could easily fill up the roster if you are sending down a Davis Schneider. So that's 2 extra spots right there. And there's also other guys we're not even going to mention to spend too much time on here, like Stuart Baroa. I mean, the poor guy's not getting any playing time right now.
He's basically just a pinch runner.
He's just a pinch runner, defensive replacement. So I kind of feel bad for him. I feel like maybe he spent enough of time here, maybe send him back down, open up another spot. But we'll see what they could do. I think there's a lot of options in that area, in the position player side of things, to make some changes.
Well, speaking of position players, everybody, let's talk a little bit about Bo Bichette. Hazel May recently came out with an update on him, saying,
time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Bo Bichette is still in Florida rehabbing his calf, which he's been dealing with all season long, by the way, everybody. That calf has been a big problem. It is something I am kind of concerned about, but he's still rehabbing it. He has not taken part in any baseball activities as of yet, but John Schneider said he will get a better idea of where he's at or an update in a week or so. Now, that was posted on August 2nd, so hopefully within a couple days we will receive some type of update. But the fact that he hasn't even resumed any baseball activities at all, and we have less than 50 games remaining at this point, 2 months of baseball, less than 2 months of baseball left. I'm starting to think to myself right now, with the way that Bo Bichette was playing, with the fact that this has been a massive recurring injury, with also, considering he's going to be in the last year of his deal, you want his, you need him to be healthy if you're competitive in 2025, and then you also need him to be healthy if you do have any hope or thought of trading him this offseason, because nobody's going to trade for somebody where their calf is all busted up. I'm starting to think that maybe the best thing for him would be shut it down.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
It's kind of the same thing that we're talking about with Davis Schneider, where whatever you were doing at the big league level isn't working. And yes, I know you might be considered a veteran at this point at the big league level. But even guys like Bo Bichette need a little bit of time to go rehab, yes, which is what he's going to be doing eventually soon, but he needs some time down there to work on things, fix some things, get back to an approach, because sometimes a major league season could speed up on you. I mean, you're playing every single day, and if you're not going well, it could just snowball and snowball and snowball. So I think staying down there and shutting it down for the rest of the season is helpful, because what good is it going to be for him to come up and let's say everything goes right. What, he's up in, because he's going to need some rehab games. He's up in September.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you have 1 month of baseball, and you're trying to catch up to speed, then you just start catching up to speed, and then it's like, oh, season's over. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it feels like he needs to shut it down for his own mental sake.
Yeah. I think that there's so many arguments going towards shutting it down. I mean, obviously we can get into the numbers on the season, but it has not been looking good for Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
Speaking about the fastball, something that he has destroyed in the past. Yep. He's got a -5 run value against the four-seamer. That's not Bo Bichette. That's not the guy that we know. Is the injury got anything to do with that? Probably. How much? I have no idea. But there's just nothing to gain from bringing Bo Bichette back up to the show at this point. Like, worst possible case scenario, you get him doing this rehab stuff, then he comes up, he continues to play bad, and he hurts himself again. And now you're going, well, why the hell did we do that? What was the purpose of that? Now he's got no trade value, and we have no idea if he's going to be healthy for next year. So worst of both case scenarios right there. I think there is there comes a time where you just gotta be almost. It almost takes courage to say, all right, we're calling it on this one, because I'm sure that Bo Bichette would love to come back and get some more opportunities. He feels like he's got to prove himself. He feels like he's got to redeem himself a little bit. But there is a time where you got to see the writing on the wall and take a step back.
Hey, you know what's funny, actually? I hate to bring this up because, I don't really know Bo Bichette at all, but I did see on this Hazel May tweet right here on our end, someone here, Robert, saying, wonder why we haven't seen him in the dugouts at any home games. So, I mean, if you're talking about he wants to be here, he wants to come back, well, maybe he just doesn't. Like we've been kind of talking about, a lot of people around Bo Bichette, around the Toronto Blue Jays, have said, Bo's he's a player, he shows up, he does his work, but he's very soft-spoken about it. What if he is just this year, you got to write it off, and maybe he just needs to step away from the game a little bit, away from the big league level. Maybe that could also help him too. And again, to your point, I think it's great that it opens up a door for a trade opportunity in the offseason.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought of it and it's not the only one that said that too. I mean, you got a couple people talking about that. I hadn't thought about that.
I haven't thought about that either.
But I do hear where they're coming from. Again, I don't want to make any judgments on Bo Bichette or where he's at right now, because that's all just pure speculation, right? I mean, he could be in Florida right now doing some serious rehab and needing to be there. We have no idea. And honestly, if he doesn't want to come and doesn't want to be in the dugout, yes, there is an element of, dude, why are you not a team player? But also on a human level, I can kind of understand it a little bit. It has been the fucking season of hell, especially for you. Getting away from the game right now probably is the best thing for his mental, and having to sit there and watching your team get spanked by God knows who time and time again. I don't know. I'm certainly hear where they're coming from, but I can also see where Bo Bichette is as well.
Because I thought it was interesting, because I think about Alek Manoah, who's been hurt for time. He's still in the dugout. He's not even. But that's a different case scenario.
Wild.
That's also wild.
Too,
so it does. Anyways, that's all flawed points. Doesn't really matter too much. Doesn't have too much weight. But the point being is Bo Bichette, I think you could see a realistic possibility he doesn't come back. And hell, I think it'd be great for the team because, again, I want to see what these minor league guys can do. Can you beat big league pitching? Because in a year, we may not have Bichette. And in fact, I'd probably bet on it that we won't have Bichette in 2026.
Probably, everybody. Kind of in conclusion of this podcast right here, folks, it is now time to really start thinking about what is going to help your players, not for this year, but for next year. Sending them down, shutting them down, all of that stuff should be on the table moving forward.
Yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. $3 a month to become a Patreon member. Shout out to thank you to all of our current Patreon members and as well our YouTube members. You guys are absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you so much for watching, and as always,
go Jays, go!